So this is a non-starship Eaglemoss unboxing on my part, rather unusually. This was slightly discounted, and I thought I'd just like to have a look at it because it's not the normal sort of thing I get from them, and it is a station that appeared in one of my favourite Star Trek films of the original series, which is of course is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. And this is the station where the Genesis device research was being undertaken. So of course it was of strategic interest to Khan in terms of getting hold of the Genesis device. And it is also where the Enterprise heads off to in order to try and discover what on earth's going on, and where it then discovers Chekhov again. So I think this model was actually used in the motion picture, but upside down, bizarrely, and so they took it and turned it the other way around and sort of redressed it a little bit, and it ended up being used as Regula 1 in the second film. But I'm pretty sure that the sort of the X hanger bit that's sort of here, I think this type has also been seen in Deep Space Nine when Cisco was sort of in charge of various fleet operations, and I think those operations were based out of this sort of star base. And this is on a completely different scale to the sort of star base that you see in the orbit of Earth, which is this massive thing which can hold starships inside it. I mean, the scale of that is just incredibly impressive. So this one is also on a much smaller scale. Nice April magazine. I got this in a sort of one of the little plastic bags that they sometimes come in, with a box inside it. So the nice thing is that's really flat, rather than being slightly screwed up or curved, at least in the boxes that they often come in. Yes. So that's as it was originally. If you can see that, so you see it's completely the other way around as it was originally shown in the motion picture. So I mean, you do see a lot of models from this era, because they were solid physical models, were often reused and repurposed in different ways in different films, and so it's not unusual to see something and think, hang on a minute, that looks oddly familiar. So let me have a look at this now. I'm really hoping I think this is going to be tall, so I'm hoping there's going to be enough space in my display setup to actually accommodate it. I'm really hoping that's the case. Yeah, that'll fit. It's not as huge as I thought it was going to be, actually. It's heavy though. Good lord, it's heavy. Now I don't know if that's actually going to sit up. Ooh, no, I don't think it is going to sit up by itself. That's definitely going to need its... Ooh, oh no. Ooh. Okay. That's slightly Jenga-esque, I feel. It will actually stand up by itself. It's leaning slightly backwards. So I rather like that. It's very different. As I say, it's not the sort of thing that I normally get at all. But there's a lot of nice detailing on it. Let me get a little bit closer so you can see. But there's a lot of just little sort of surface greebling, I believe the term is. Just a lot of nice little bits of detail on there, and as I say, it's very, very solid. I'm not sure how much weight I was expecting to it, but there's definitely die cast in there. That's way too heavy to be just plastic. Now, the stand that it's on is going to be rather unique, I think, again in my experience, because I think it's held off its stand in the air. So that is going to be a rather interesting challenge, to say the least. Let's have a look at this. I see, okay. So I think... this could go horribly wrong. Now then, let's have a look. Oof. Right. So logically, it can only possibly fit in like that and plunk in there. So actually, that's more stable than I would have thought. I'm getting Empire Strikes Back probe droid vibes off it. I have no idea why, probably because it's floating in midair. But that's quite a nice effect. And if it's like that, you really can't see the stand at all. I mean, it's a very simple idea, just use these perspex stands, but they do work really well in this sort of scenario. I mean, obviously it's completely out of scale with any of the starships, given that it's a base. But again, it's not as big as the biggest type of star base that the United Federation of Planets ran. I'm not even sure if it's technically. It must be at least Federation designed. I don't know if it's actually technically United Federation of Planets. Trying to think what else it could be. Unless it is just a sort of a basic Starfleet research outpost type design. I'm not quite sure what the thinking was behind it in terms of who would actually sort of operate it and run it and own it. But it was nice to see a bit more of the sort of the infrastructure around it. And of course, it is interesting to think about the sort of infrastructure you would need to be able to service a fleet of starships. Because obviously the Earth-based Star Dock can contain several full-size starships, and that's the sheer amount of material you would need to pull together to construct something like that is no mean feat. And presumably they must be incredibly heavily shielded and everything else in case an enemy tried it on with one of them. So you wonder just how many of those there actually are and how long it takes to put them together, because presumably they're quite vulnerable whilst they're being built. So if anyone would care to give me any background on that, then obviously do feel free. I haven't read any of the magazine yet, so I don't know what it's got to say on that sort of topic. But yeah, I rather like it. I think it's I have got a little Deep Space Nine model as well. This one's a special issue. So it's not. It's much bigger than average, but it's not as big as the XL starships are. But that's fair enough. I've got no issue with that at all. So yeah, interesting addition to the collection there. So I'll leave that one there. I've got a couple of XLs to show you as well, which will kind of round out my collection for now. It's really tricky for me because they're releasing Stargate ships and Expanse ships at the moment, and they're constantly expanding the range of what's available. One thing I do really want to try and get is an XL Klingon ship, because at the moment all I've got is a special issue Warbird, and I have got a Bird of Prey actually. I think it was one of the first ones I got, which really sold me on Eaglemoss massively, because it was such an impressive, beautiful ship. But I would like to get one of the battle cruisers beyond the Bird of Prey if I can, possibly, but it hasn't been in stock for ages, so I've always got half an eye open for one of those. If I can get my hands on one of them, I will do to show you. So thanks for watching, and I say I'll be along before long with another one. Cheers for now.